My name is Brian Danos. I'm the CEO of CivicSource. We are one of the leading online auction sites for tax lien sales and adjudication sales in Louisiana. Company started a while back. And I'll kind of follow up on Bob's last comment in the last talk when he talked about the cheerleaders. That is specifically the reason why we came up with the auction process. We started out as a company that was doing the digitization of due process, making sure that all the notifications pre-sale, I'll get into the laws of why that's necessary, but you have to notify everybody pre-sale in Louisiana. We got into that business. And then we had several different taxing authorities say, look, people are showing up, 50 people are showing up these sales. They're sending a lady in a red dress, and the lady in the red dress ultimately wins the right properties, and so it's not fair. Can you do it online to make it more fair? And that's why the process came up. So we're hearing the same things, and that's what we were adding. We're adding an online process that allows all of you to effectively buy and not have to show up at each sale. Right. All right, so let's talk about Louisiana in general. If you're from here, you know. If you're not, you know, your probably impression is we do everything differently. We do everything differently. Even our laws, we have Napoleonic code, it's different laws. And one of the main things is we call our counties parishes because, you know, it's a religious state, whatever. So there's 64 parishes, and even more odd, the tax collector for the parish is the sheriff, right? I've never met a sheriff that got elected sheriff because they were a good tax collector. So they could care less about tax collection. It's something that they're burdened, they have to do in the meantime of, you know, cops and robbers stuff. So they're really not excited about doing the tax collection process. So this is what we help them through. So typically, except Orleans Parish, it has a Department of Finance, and Lafayette has a department, but everywhere else it's the sheriff is actually who is running the tax sales for the parish. There's also 150 municipalities, there's probably more than that actually collect for themselves also. So you have the sheriff sale, and you also have the city level tax sales. So there's a lot of auctions that happen in Louisiana. 60, that probably number's low. There's probably more, but about 60 of them are actually online. The rest are in little small places that you don't want to visit. But I have visited the small towns of Louisiana. There's not much north of I-10. But it's a great state, I'll say that. So let's talk about the other weird thing we do is we're one of the few states that has this hybrid sale. Most of you are all familiar with the tax lien process, and you're all familiar with the tax deed process, right? So what is a hybrid? We are a hybrid state. We sell basically a lien, and then 3 years later, that lien has the right to convert to a deed. There are several other states that have this, but I know it's not the norm of what most of y'all are looking to invest in. It's a 3-year redemptive period. So the tax sale happens, the homeowner has 3 years to redeem that property. Of course, you're getting penalty and interest during that time. But it has the right at the end of the 3 years to convert to the actual deed. So we really are seeing two types of purchasers through our site. We're seeing people that are strictly involved in looking for a return on their investment in purchasing for liens, and when we're seeing other people who are trying to acquire the property. And I'll tell you exactly how we know that, and that leads to my next slide, talking about another weird thing we do here, and this is the one that really bothers all of us. And you've heard about it, is our biddable component is the percentage of ownership, right? What in the world is that, right? The biddable component, and I've researched this because it basically starts at 100% and down to 1%. So whoever bids 1% ownership in the property is the winner, right? And it doesn't make sense. And I said, why in the world, you know, was this written? This was a law we found that was written like 1930, and it really was for large landowners. The origin of this law, from what I could find, is from large landowners had, you know, acres and acres of property, and the taxing authority was willing to take the least percentage of that property in exchange for the delinquent taxes. And of course, Louisiana has not changed that yet, that biddable component. We are working, there's a legislative committee that is working to change this right now. There's several different options, but the biddable component hopefully in the future will not be percentage of ownership, because this causes really really difficult questions when people win at a tax sale for less than 100%, right? So like I said, we have the tax sale happens. If you bid anything less than 100%, you got the 3-year redemptive period. You're hoping that somebody's going to redeem in that 3-year period. Because if not, it's very, very difficult for you to have any recourse at the end of the 3 years to acquire the property or get some return if the homeowner does not redeem. Does that make sense? It's a very strange biddable component. I think there's a couple other states that do this. But the ones I talked to, they say they're all trying to eliminate that also at their legislative level. This is going to have to be a constitutional ballot item that would hopefully, I'm not involved in the writing of it, but I'm hearing that hopefully on the next, in 2016, it'll be on the ballot. So 2017 might be the earliest that could change. We're hoping for it because it really is difficult for everybody. It just needs to be you win 100% ownership in the property.
Of that 3-year period if you don't bid 100%.
Right. So if you don't bid at 100%, the only recourse I've heard, and let me start. I'm not a lawyer, so consult the lawyer. But the thing I've heard is that there are cases where people are trying, because you, and I'm going to get to that, but because you as the tax sale purchaser are required to pay subsequent year taxes, which you get interest on. You can then sue I've heard somebody try to sue the homeowner for 99, so let's say you bought it at 1%, you want it at 1%. You sue the homeowner for 99 cents of every dollar you've subsequently spent to pay. But that's a case that's not been ruled on yet, so I don't know the legality of that or how that's going to be ruled on. But that's some options people are pursuing on how to get your return if the homeowner hasn't redeemed, if you didn't win at 100%. So, but like I said, I'm not a lawyer, and really we're kind of out of that process. We're just the auction, pre-sale and auction, so we don't get involved in the post-sale workings of it. It's unfortunate, but that's what we're trying to clear up with getting this new biddable component. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. We've talked about the 5% penalty or some other redemption amount, more like Florida. But we'll see what it actually arrives on. I never, even if I told you something now, those Louisiana legislators will ultimately change it. So that's the biddable component. All right, so what's the return for you? There's an immediate 5% penalty. Day after the sale, immediate 5% penalty, and then 1% a month, every month for that redemptive period. So you have a chance to make up to 41% on that tax sale purchase. Month one, and it's monthly, it's not all at once. So month one, right after the sale, it's a 6% they owe you, 5% penalty and 1% for that first month. So that's the biddable, that's the return on your investment. And most of the properties are being won at 1%, and people are really trying to play for that. We're seeing a lot of redemptions. I'm trying to think of the last statistic. It's between 80 and 90% redemption rate, depending on the taxing authority in the municipality. So most are getting redeemed in that. As I said before, if it doesn't redeem, you have the right to convert that lien into a deed, and there are several law firms that can help with that locally and actually make that happen. Of course, you are required to pay the subsequent year taxes, which you also get 1% a month starting on January 1st of the next year on those subsequent year taxes. So, what you got?
Well, Brian, you might be aware of it, but every parish treats it different.
Yes.
Right? So, and that's one of the problems that we've had with the parishes outside New Orleans, which is fabulous the way the interest is. But, so for example, Gretna doesn't give you 5% on subsequent year taxes, but New Orleans will.
Right.
And Iberia sends us a bill for the percentage of ownership that we bid on. Instead of all the other parishes, they don't give us a 100% tax bill. And it just creates for all this mess.
Yes.
So, I mean, we've actually stopped buying in many of the other parishes and we think aren't doing it correctly. Iberia
is one specific one that I know agreed. They do that. They split the ownership based on it. We have tried to educate them and told them that's not the way to do it, but ultimately that's the way to do it. And it is causing an issue there in Iberia. Gretna is one that I'm not as familiar with. I could talk to the person who deals with them, but yes, that is the issue, is that different parishes do this inconsistently. And that's why we need this sweeping change to redo the law to make it unified. New Orleans obviously does do it, we believe does do it correctly, and you should get that on there. But I don't have a good answer for you for that. We know a lot of our phone calls are trying to educate these different places and to tell them that this is what you should be doing. This is why you're losing bidders. We go to them every year and say, look, we lost, the number of bidders is different this year, and we're hearing these things. You're not the first person to tell us that. So we're trying our best, but you know, you can only do so much to tell them they're stuck in their ways. So Iberia, though, one is a particularly, Iberia and St. Mary are two that I know that have that splitting of ownership issue that is going to be resolved at some point soon. So.
Another
Yep.
issue with Brentwood and the municipalities is
Yep.
not all of them are, you can have two tax sales. You can have the sheriff have a tax sale
Yes.
for the parish and
Yes.
the tax collector for the municipality. And you go to redeem one and you pay later year's taxes to the other one to avoid a tax sale. You won't get a redemption of both of them at the same time.
Right, because it's two separate taxing authorities. Yep.
Yeah, well, the statute says you're supposed to redeem for anything that's owed, but
Yep.
I've got a case now where, you know, a redemption certificate was issued, and my client had paid taxes to the sheriff. The sheriff says, well, you owe those taxes, I'm not giving them back. And the city said, well, we just redeemed our tax sale.
Right.
So there's this limbo of my guy paid, I don't know, a few $1,000s or 10,000, whatever it is, and, you know, we got to go to court to decide who's supposed to, you know, pay him the money.
Right, where the money's supposed to go. That is the difficult thing about parish municipality collections, and we like to try to persuade the municipalities to allow the parish to collect. One of the things we do on our site, though, if you're probably familiar, is that if there is we try to schedule the sales at the same time for the parish and the cities, if possible, and we will have on our site the ability to say, you might be interested, this property is also in a city sale, you might want to buy the municipal taxes also. That's our best help to try to allow you to purchase at both, so you don't have this crazy issue of, you know, is it this one or this one? That's one of the inherent issues with Louisiana too. So I'm making Louisiana seem really bad, I'm sorry. It really is. But the good part about it, and I'll get to it, the good part about Louisiana, and the thing that interests y'all, is compared to other states I've seen, the participation is nowhere near like what it is in Florida or Illinois. It is getting more competitive because more people are coming, but I do think there's opportunities. We still have sales that have properties that are unsold in Louisiana, in New Orleans, or in Caddo Parish. And I'll go around the state and talk about different parishes that I think are interesting. But there is opportunity here. It's not as competitive as some of the other places. The laws I know are a little bit different. And it's a little bit of a hurdle to get over, but once you get it, yeah, it's an interesting opportunity for you as an investor. This is a slide I got talking about the post-redemptive period. As I said, we don't really deal with this, but this kind of helps you understand. It's a petition, the actual steps after the redemptive period. How do you take ownership in the property? What needs to get done? It is a petition to quiet title, and the interested parties then are noticed and given time to pay. And it's basically 6 months if it's less than 5 years, and 60 days if it's post 5 years. That's the aspects of that. All right, so that's about the tax sale process. Any more questions on that? We could take questions after if you want. But tax deed, this is the thing. I don't know if you're following New Orleans. We are now in the middle of about to launch. Next Wednesday is the first tax deed sale. They call it Adjudication Sales. Now, what is that? So these are properties, as I said, that have gone to sale, and we have properties that do not sell. These properties have been at sale 5 years or greater and have not sold. At that point, the taxing authority has the ability to actually sell the property outright. So unlike you're not getting a return on investment, you're actually getting a deed. And we have our system and our partners, we have the ability to make sure that this is a fully legal sale, that you can have clear title, and we have title insurance being underwritten on these properties. So this is another investment tool that we're excited about. We've been doing it for a while at a smaller scale in other taxing authorities across the state. But now we're launching this in New Orleans and about to bring on some of the larger places across the state. It's a lot of these properties, and I've been dealing with this, actually the city called me at 5 or 7 o'clock this morning because they're excited, but there's a lot of questions still going to happen. So over the next couple of days, you're going to see the media. If you're here in New Orleans, you'll see the media is going to start writing a lot about this. It really is a big opportunity. The city has, I've seen at least 6,000 of these properties that have been delinquent for years and years and years. I mean, some of them go back to early 80s, they're delinquent. A lot of them are blighted properties. A lot of them are properties that just for one reason or another, there's a succession and the homeowner has not paid. It's an opportunity for the city to really clean up their tax roll and get these properties back in commerce. So they're very excited about this. There's about 1,700 properties the city of New Orleans listed back in March 6th, available for deposit. What we do on our site is we put up all the properties and allow investors to choose which properties are taken to sale by putting a deposit down. This is because the city has admitted that they are really not the best people to decide what is the value of these properties and which properties are valuable. So we said, you don't have to make that decision. Just put them all up, and it allows the investors to make the determination of the value of these properties, right? So properties up there available, you put down a deposit. There's about a 120-day window where all the legal notifications take place. It's all handled, it's all digitized, and to ensure that these properties, one, are legal sales, and then two, that insurable title can be written on these properties. So next Wednesday, starting next Wednesday, and every first Wednesday of a month thereafter, the city of New Orleans is going to have an auction for these adjudicated properties to get this backlog going. This first sale next Wednesday, I think, has about 86 properties in it. I think the August sale is almost up to 200 properties now. So it's going to ramp up the number of properties that are available. But, you know, I'll give a shameless plug at the end for our site, but you can go on there and see these properties now. But it really is a new opportunity that we're hearing across the state is a big issue. We work very closely with the Louisiana Municipal Association, which represents all the municipalities across the state. And one of the biggest issues they're having, these small communities, is paying to cut the grass on these blighted properties. And, you know, us from larger cities think that's a trivial task. At least I thought it was. But then I see the books and I see how difficult and how expensive it is for them. It really is affecting their budgets. So this is an opportunity that people really haven't been using the adjudicated property process to its potential across the state. And I think more people are starting to think about that. So it's a new investment product. As an investor, you can be interested in and get property at an affordable price. The way most taxing authorities are pricing this, and our advice, is starting the price at zero plus the costs of, you know, the closing costs and all the legal costs, which comes out to be all the notifications and legal costs and all the closing is included, is about $4,000 or something like that. So these start at between $3,000 and $4,000, depending on the number of people that needed to be noticed, closing included and all that. So it's a pretty good deal for these properties. And obviously, we'll see what the market decides what the actual value goes for. But we're excited about it. So you can check out the site next Wednesday and see some properties that are going to sale. Sure. Yep.
I looked at the site some a little bit yesterday.
Yep.
The only thing that I had a little difficulty with was pictures of the property.
Yep.
Like in some cases, you could go down below and you could pick out something and you could actually go and look at pictures.
Right.
In other cases, I seem to have a hard time. Not that I can't
Sure.
find that through the assessor's website or something like that.
Right.
But it'd be better if there was an easy way to see right away.
Right. So I agree. What we have right now, I don't have a picture of it, but that's our site. Shameless plug. If you go into each property page, down below, we post all of the notifications and all the documents. There's one on there that's a property inspection report. All the property inspection reports should have pictures in them. We are talking about to actually make that more clear, where it's up in that little section where the map is, where you can actually see pictures. We're not there yet, but in the future, we will have that ability. But right now, if you go, all of the documents, and we're big on saying all the documentation, everything we do, we want to post to you so the investors can see, yes, this property is going through the proper process and can feel comfortable that I'm purchasing a property that has the ability to have, clear title on it. So we're very big on telling the city we're posting all this documentation for investors to see. We're not keeping anything behind. One of those things is a property inspection report. Each property has somebody that goes out to see if it's occupied and takes a picture of it. Those inspection reports should be on each property, where you'll be able to see pictures. But some of these things, I saw one property that we sent that had 467 people that needed to be notified. To tell you the number of people were going back, a lot of different people. I mean, this was a succession, and people from that succession had died, so there's subsequent successions, and there's multiple addresses for all those people. We're taking a belt and suspenders approach to make sure that every person has notification. So that's why some of these properties you'll see long list of notifications on there.
Is the city just rolling through the adjudicated properties? Is there any rhyme or reason how they select them?
Right, so what they did is they gave us a list of the eligible properties, right? Starting basically has to be 5 years or older. We started with that. Then we actually took a pre-screening process and pulled the certificates, went to the clerk and pulled the certificates to make sure the adjudication certificate was still valid. So that cut out some. And then there's various other departments within the city that have questions about, like NORA and different departments that have questions about certain properties. So that eliminated some. And then there were others that they eliminated because there's other assessment questions on. So this first group that they're working with are the ones that had no questions that seem, a very easy, that we can get clear title very easily on it. They're working through that subsequent section, which there were questions. So those would be the ones that roll on in the future.
Is there any way, I guess, from an investor standpoint, for you to request the property to go on?
Yes, so if you sign up to our newsletter and you're on CivicSource.com, we will send an email out when the next batch comes out. So you can say, we'll say a new set of properties has been rolled on. But having said that, there are also single, when we have batches. Having said that though, every, the tax sale 5 years ago happens, and those are automatically being into the candidate pool. So those, you might have some single ones that are coming on automatically, but next time we have a big batch from the city, we're definitely going to send an email out on that. Any other questions about adjudicated properties? What you got?
On your auction, I have never signed on
Sure.
an actual auction day. Is it a one-time bid, or can you keep upping it like in a
Yep.
regular auction?
Yep, no, it's exactly. It's very much like eBay. You can up it as much as you want. We have proxy bidding now. So you can just go and say, the most I want to pay for this property is $1,000, and the bid right now is at $100. The system will make your bid $101, right? And then if somebody comes to bid, it'll make the bid, their bid's now 102, it'll bid you at 103. It'll automatically bid the lowest possible for you. So you don't actually have to sit and watch the property. It just automatically says, okay, you're going to be the winner up to 1,000 because you were the first person to put the proxy bid of 1,000. So you don't have to sit there and say 101, 102, 103. It makes it nice for the investors that are purchasing multiple properties. You can just go in and say the morning of the sale, put in the number, the max bid, hit bid, and then from then on out. And of course, you're notified if you are outbid through emails, but that's how that's going to work.
Is that going to work on the percentage bids on regular taxes too, that I can just put 1%? Maybe I'll get it at 86, but.
That is something we're talking about. Yes, it's a city question. They have not made a determination on that. We can do it. It's going to be a determination if they're going to allow us to do it. So.
I noticed on the website that if you're a neighbor and you've been taking care of grass or whatever, you can contact.
Right.
There's a property across the street from me, so I am not the neighbor.
Yeah.
The two neighbors are not doing anything about it because
Yeah.
they can't afford it.
Yeah.
And the other is a guy that just annexed it to his property and fenced it in as though he owns it, and yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take care of the 3 properties that he owns. My question is, there's like $23,000 in outstanding taxes. If I go in and pay that before the auction,
No. So there's city of New Orleans and there's everywhere else. Everywhere else does have that, is doing the lot next door. Basically, if you're an adjoining landowner, but the law says you have to be an adjoining landowner, meaning your property has to touch the property. So it's a question about that I've heard that somebody across the street come through, and the ruling I got was that it wasn't. It's got to be next to, one of the ones next to the four corners.
The website also said that anybody could go in and go pay it, and then you'd be buying those people's, the prior owner's tax interest into the, so they'll sell it to you in that prior owner's name, and you'd still have to go through the 3-year redemption period.
No, that's, I don't think it says that. I think what it is you shouldn't go in and pay somebody else's taxes. I can go in and pay your taxes right now. Anybody can pay anybody's taxes, but that doesn't give me any right to the property at all, right? So it would have to be an agreement you worked out with that person before you go in and go pay. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I would talk to a lawyer, but I know you don't want to go pay somebody else's taxes unless you have an agreement with that person that they're going to sell you the property or something. Yeah, exactly. Like right. Sure.
So you're saying under the blight statutes that if the grass is 18 inches or higher and there is a notice against it, you can't go in there and...
If you are an adjoining landowner, so if you're an adjoining landowner so in New Orleans, they have a new program called Mow to Own that's coming out. So I'm a little hesitant to talk about this because it's not out yet. So New Orleans is going to have some legislation that comes out specifically for neighbor next door properties. So discredit this for New Orleans. They're going to have their own thing, as New Orleans always does everything else different. But the rest of the state, if you're an adjoining landowner and you can prove you have taken care of the property, cut the grass for a year, just have everybody else say yes, they've cut the property for a year, you can put a deposit on an adjudicated property. It'll go through the same process of legal notification. The benefit is it won't go to public auction. So you'll just be buying it at a price that the taxing authority sets. So it won't go through an auction on adjudicated properties.
I've taken blighted properties just on grass alone and restored them. This was a couple years ago. I don't know if things changed. But it was, if the violation was grass above 18 inches and or a conspicuous opening, broken window, open door, that was good enough cost to file that action.
Okay. But I mean, that's outside of our,
956.33.
Okay.
Yeah.
What parish?
Was that, or is it in Orleans?
Orleans, but
Okay.
you also have to go through the process of asking them to waive it lightly, and
Right.
it took me 19 months to get them to do it on that last property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
19 months.
right.
Which is.
They don't move
ties up
fast.
your money a long time.
They don't move fast at all.
What happens with the excess money if there was 10,000, the bid goes up to 20,000, who gets the excess money?
The city keeps that. Yeah. No. They divide, there's a way they divide it up amongst they pay the outstanding taxes and then the excess money, I don't know exactly how but they keep it. Yeah. So. Any other questions on the adjudicated property stuff? No? Okay. All right. This is our website, CivicSource.com. Go at least sign up for a newsletter. It's free to sign up. We do have a bunch of investor tools. Yeah. What you got? Yep. This is a very good question because this was one of the questions they called and asked at 7 o'clock this morning. They changed, I should say this, they have a new approach. For the adjudication sales you're talking about or for the tax sales? Okay, adjudication sales. What's going to happen is, and this is changing, but what we're advising is that at 8 o'clock in the morning, all the properties go live, right? That's when auction starts. We have something called sliding close, right? And what happens is sliding close is more analogous to an in-person auction where the auctioneer says going, going, gone. So a sliding close prevents the last second sniping of somebody coming in at 7:59 and 59 seconds and placing a bid. So what we have is the ability to say it has to have no bids for 5 minutes before it closes. So if somebody bids within, after 8 o'clock, if somebody bids, or at 7:55, if somebody bids, it's going to be the auction is going to be extended until there's 5 minutes of no bidding activity, and that really it gets the highest price for the lets the market work, but it also prevents this last minute sniping where somebody has a technology advantage can come in and push this in. The city's making a determination on that today. I think that's what they're going to go with. So don't hold me. if it doesn't do that, it's going to close at 8 o'clock, but I really think they're going to go this way, which I really think helps investors out.
One day?
It's one-day sale. These are all going to be one-day sales, yes. And there will be, obviously, if 5 minutes keeps going and going and going, there will be a cutoff at some point, reasonable, because we can't have it go on for 4 days or whatever, 5 minutes. But we really think, we've seen that is a really good way for investors to get the value. And it really helps investors if you're bidding on multiple properties too, right? So let's say you've entered your max bid, but you get outbid, you don't have to worry, oh gosh, I only got 2 seconds to get to the next property to do it. So it really helps you as investors are building portfolios to bid. That's why we do it, so.
So all the properties are going to come online and start bidding at 8 p.m.?
8 a.m.
rather?
Yep, exactly. So all the properties go on concurrent. With both our tax sales and adjudication sales, that's how it happens. With the tax sales, typically in the larger parishes, it's 3-day sales, open at 8, close at 8 on the 3rd day. With adjudication sales, it's typically 1 day, opens at 8, and will close after there's 5 minutes of no bidding. So,
Right, so
but it's all
closes at
concurrent. It's
8:30
all
or it
concurrent.
can close at 4:30 p.m.
Right. It's all concurrent.
Yeah, basically.
The other question is, who's underwriting the title insurance?
Yes, good question.
First.
WFG, National Title Insurance Company, is doing it now. They actually have a product that is filed with the Louisiana State Insurance Commission. So they're the ones that are underwriting these.
Question, I'm not clear on your
Sure.
5-minute time.
Yep.
If you start at 8, and if you want to bid on multiple properties, have you?
All right, so what happens is the auction times are said 8 in the morning to 8 at night, right? So that's the basic time. So let's say you start in the morning, you enter your bids on all your property. That's fine. What happens then at 7:55 and later, if anybody places a bid
7:55?
at night, PM, sorry, 7:55 at night, if anybody places a bid in that time, that auction is going to be extended, right? And then if somebody then comes in and places another bid, that auction keeps getting extended until there's 5 minutes of no activity, right? And so it's analogous to somebody saying going, going, gone. So if I would say going, going, and Bob says, oh, no, we just extend it and say going once, going twice, and then, so we're trying to recreate that aspect where everybody has a chance to bid without having any last minute people coming
So
in.
that 5 minutes does not go into effect till 7?
Right, until 8 o'clock, right. So it'll stay open at least 8 in the morning to 8 at night. That's the least amount, I mean, it's going to be open for that long at the very least. What you got?
Does the tax lien sale work the same way, or is it allowed for sniping?
So tax lien sale, that's what I was saying. Right now, nobody has elected to do that, but we hope by next year we can persuade a lot of people to start doing that. But the problem with with Louisiana is that we're down to 1% pretty quickly on most of these, and that's as low as you can go. So it's one of those things that they don't see as much value on that side, but we're gonna offer it. But we really are seeing a lot of properties go down to 1% very quickly.
Will new bidders be allowed in? Because if you made all your properties, you didn't get as many properties as you wanted to, go see who's still bidding at
Sure.
305 and 810.
Sure,
join the later.
sure, yeah. That's another great potential for investors. You have a pool of money, you got some, you didn't get some, you can still see which ones are bidding. You'll be able to sort on our site the ones that are that have bids open. You can still go and then participate. So, any more questions on that? Okay. Very quickly, we have investor tools. All the properties are mapped on the website. The red ones are adjudicated ones. The blue ones are tax lien ones. So you can see we have a lot of investor tools. You can build watch lists on the site to make your custom watch lists. And we are always looking for good suggestions of features to build from the investors. So if you have any features or if you have any problems on the site, that was a good suggestion there. Email me at brian@civicsource.com, BRIN@civicsource.com. We love hearing from investors. We have a team of developers that is always improving our website, and we really want to make the features that you need to help make good decisions on investing. So please, if you have questions or if you ever have just a good suggestion on how to improve our site, let us know. We're more than happy to talk to our investors. And we thank you all for participating. So if you have no more questions?
You're not
Nope.
looking that you're going to get the sales to Jefferson Parish, are you going to come pick a new or? How
do I answer this? Yes.
I retract my question.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be getting the actual auction. We may do some other work for them, but yeah, that's a delicate one. So,
Brian, one
yeah.
other question. Earlier, you, on the 3-year redemptive.
Sure.
There was a 6 months or 60 days.
Yes.
You mentioned. Would you go over
Clarify that, right.
one more time?
And this is an interesting thing. So the redemptive, in the tax sale world, the property is purchased at tax sale. The redemptive period, it ends at 3 years. In order to get the petition to quiet the title, the state statute says you must then re-notify everybody one last time saying you're about to lose your property, you have X amount of time to pay. If it's between 3 years and 5 years from the filing of that tax sale certificate, they get 6 months. If it's between 5 years or greater, they only get 60 days. That's the difference. But a lawyer can help you through that process and work through it. It doesn't extend their redemptive window. They just have to come in before then and pay. So. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all so much.